Okay. Have you noticed that a lot of Kickstarter illustrations are starting to look the same? Granted, in book marketing, authors are often not wanting to stand out. Signals for genre, traits, and tropes need to be very clear so that readers know what lane you're in. But a lot of Kickstarter illustrations these days are just so meh. They're boringly perfect, whether it's the muscles or the hair, even the trees. Everything looks like they're CGI simulations, and they manage to be completely devoid of style, other than the style of looking painfully like digital art. But finally, I stumbled across a Kickstarter with illustrations that accomplish both. It signaled genre and reader expectations while still having a unique style. It was eye-catching, it was fresh, it was different. So today we're looking at the author-illustrator partnership behind Candy and Curses. We'll be looking behind the scenes at why illustrators may hold the keys to author success. And I won't just be talking about Kickstarter, because during my interview, I found out that this author-illustrator collab actually led to a better book overall. This interview showed me something very important. It showed me that the right partnership with an illustrator can lead to things like deeper world building or stronger characters, a more vibrant setting, especially if you get the illustrator involved early, and especially if that illustrator has a few key traits that lead to a creative explosion. I'm Emily Kate, and this is Quill Pro Quo, where we showcase talented people in publishing. We're talking agents, cover designers, editors, illustrators, narrators. If they're partnering with authors, then you and I are looking behind the scenes at partnerships that lead to better books. And today we're sitting down with author Izi Miller and her illustrator Liz Hollingshead of Marjinx Arts. And by the end of this episode, we'll get to the real reason authors should care about working with an illustrator. And it's not just to attract readers to your Kickstarter, it's because it can actually make the book better. Take a look. So I'm here today with Liz, our wonderful and fantastic illustrator, and she goes by
Marjinx online.
Marjinx. And Liz, tell us quickly, are you just starting out? Where are you at in your illustrator's journey?
I am considerably new to the illustrating of cozy novels, but I am very much enjoying it. As far as drawing in general, I've been doing it for a very long time. My style is a very whimsical and very bright. I love big, bright colors, and I love things with fun little details. And I think that really is my style. It's a bit cartoony. Um, and I enjoy drawing things that make you feel a little bit like you're going into a magical wonderland. And so those are the kinds of projects that I particularly enjoy and thrive in.
And then Izi, tell us about your background in being an author and your latest project that you're working on.
Yeah, so I've been writing books for forever. I've been publishing for the last almost 10 years now. I started actually publishing books when I was, I don't remember, like 20 or something, just self-publishing. And I've had a lot of fun. One of my books did really well and became a #1 seller on Amazon, which was awesome. And I just had a ton of fun with it. I kind of am in a few different genres all over the place. My main stuff is sweet romance. And this is my first time doing a specifically cozy mystery, but I'm having a lot of fun with it. And it's got a cute no spice romance, which I love. So it's been a lot of fun.
So as I'm trying to do research to ensure my Kickstarters are a success when I'm launching my books on Kickstarter, I have found out that it is so important to have a strong illustrator standing between you and potential readers and signaling what kind of book this is. So let's go ahead and take a look at the banner for Candy and Curses. this is the first thing that potential readers would see. So tell us about Candy and Curses. What are the main marketable traits that you were trying to get across to the reader immediately?
Yeah, so I wanted people to know right away, like this is a cozy witch mystery with magical candy, which it's all right there in the main illustration, which I love. I want them to know like it's cozy, it's not spicy, it's not scary, like none of those things. It's just like a nice warm cup of tea sort of mystery, not a, I don't know, horror or something like that.
Different kind of cover art for that one.
Exactly.
So you can see right away, this is obviously cozy fantasy. And then the title does such a great job of signaling genre as well.
Mhm.
The reader has to be interested in the author, but before they can be interested in the author, the illustrator has to reel them in. So many Kickstarters are built upon the illustrations, right?
Absolutely. Like scrolling through them, it's the art that pulls me in. Like obviously I'm looking for like specific genres and things, but within that genre, it's the ones with the best art that I'm the most interested in. So,
Yeah. I was just recently shopping for books on Kickstarter because it's so fun. And I came upon what was obviously a Jane Austen inspired Regency novel. And you couldn't really get that in the title. But I knew I was home and that I could click back, that I'd want to back it because of the art. It was just so obvious that it was Regency style and English countryside. So it pulled me in.
like all cozy and warm. Mhm.
Yeah. So with Candy and Curses, that's exactly what y'all managed to accomplish. This is obviously cozy fantasy. And the black cat gives it the witchy vibes. And I loved right away that it seemed more like stylized art. So Liz, am I right about that? It seemed more stylized instead of what you would typically see on Kickstarter.
I think that that is definitely the case. I have a very specific style that I enjoy drawing. You'll see oftentimes in the noses of my characters, I will add a little shape for Jazz that is a little diamond, but it just looks kind of cartoony. I don't know.
Yeah. It's just instantly more human. And then if we go ahead and scroll down, so there's your character's image. How it's outlined is really stunning. It just kind of pops. It almost looks like a paper dolls if they were cut out and placed.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's a fair way of putting it. I think that's something that I sometimes consider as well, where, having it be a cutout on top kind of adds a fun feeling to it. And I think that kind of draws it apart. Um, Something that I also think is kind of unique about art like this is where AI art is very perfected. And I say art like this because I have certain feelings on it. Well, it is perfected in a way that makes everything just exactly the way it's expected to be. When a human makes art, I think that it has an opportunity to have some things wrong with it, a few things that make it a little different. For example, with Jazz's hair, she's got her little flick of hair that happens usually here, or it will sometimes happen here, depending on the drawing that I'm doing. But I think that that can kind of add some whimsy to it that you wouldn't really find in a AI made image. We also talked about, I know when we were talking recently, Emily Cake, we were talking about how some art looks kind of like painted over reality, where it is good and it's beautiful and it still is art, but it is sometimes a little too perfect for this kind of project. It might work really well for a different project, but for one where it is cozy fantasy, homespun feel, cooking, baking, like I think that it really fits the vibe when the art looks homemade as well. You can see that the lines aren't perfectly straight and the painting is a little messy. I paint everything on the same layer, so you kind of get a lot of colors overlapping and mixing with each other in a fun way. And that helps you kind of see it that it's human made, it's homemade work. In the case of Candy and Curses, she makes candy, and I think it fits a lot that the artwork itself also has that feeling of homemade, homespunness to it.
And then compare that to what we typically see in Kickstarter.
Mm,
Because there are some trends. We have, I mean, it's almost a cliche to say, oh, that looks like Kickstarter art.
I think that another part of it is okay, I don't know if you guys like fairy books. I like fairy books. When you're reading a book about fairies, they sometimes are too perfect. They're too perfect. They look too perfect. Things are just too exact. And I think AI art and images like that, including ones that aren't AI but kind of look like a picture that's been painted over, they can look too perfect. And that can kind of draw you away from the story. And it can make you maybe feel not as engaged in the story that you're reading because you kind of feel like something's off, something's too perfect, something's too clean, something's too like well catered. So I think that that is something that draws my work apart. You're not going to be able to get this from AI generator. It's just not going to look the same.
And Izzy, tell us about what you've seen with illustrations in the past and why they matter for Kickstarter trust and backer excitement and marketing even later after your Kickstarter.
Yeah, I think illustrations are just as important as the writing itself because, like you said, the illustrations are the first thing they see. They're going to tell the vibe of the story and if a reader is going to want to get into that story or not. And they are so powerful. Like as someone who backs Kickstarters, I'm there for the art just as much as the words. If the book is pretty and has beautiful artwork, something that I want to then stick on my shelf so I can look at every day, it's so important. Mm-hmm.
So I think that gives backers a confidence in knowing, okay, if we have this excellent level of illustrations, then the editing will be excellent. And they can really start trusting the author.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as they see illustrations, they're like, can I trust them?
Yes, yes. Mm-hmm.
For 400 pages?
Yes, it's so true. If the illustrations are like sloppy or generic or not well done, something like that, then I automatically think that the writing is going to match. And so yeah. Just don't judge a book by its cover, except we all do.
Yeah. If an author is not even planning a Kickstarter, though, what do you think? Is a custom illustration still worth considering? Or is this an area that could be cut from the budget? What do you think?
So I think if you're not doing a Kickstarter, which I've done a lot of books not as Kickstarters, I think obviously the cover is where you need an awesome illustration. And you don't necessarily need interior illustrations or anything fancy if you're not doing a Kickstarter, but I think it's 100% worth it to still hire a quality illustrator to get you an awesome cover because that's just going to completely affect whether or not people pick up your book.
By the way, if you happen to be on a budget for your book cover, make sure you check out the next episode with Liz and Izzy. I learned a lot in that episode. Essentially, Izzy takes us through how to create a homemade book cover, but you need a few very strong key things. And I really learned a lot. I am really excited about that episode. I think you should check it out. It's linked below. Okay, let's get back to it. You're going to be able to leverage the illustrations in a few ways. Wouldn't you agree? They're going to be able to, number one, actually be a banner on your campaign page, but also you're going to be able to take those and put them into merch for the novel itself for stretch goals. You're also going to be able to put them inside the actual hardbacks or paperbacks so that your reader is getting more of an immersive experience while they're reading the novel. Am I missing anything else? What else are we using the illustrations for?
Social media, newsletter, just, advertising in general.
Yeah, right. So you get one. You go ahead and you say, okay, I'm going to work with an illustrator. I'm going to get that one image, and the lifetime use, you get a lot of use out of it.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. I'm new to the cozy mystery genre and writing the cozy mystery genre, which has been fun. I love to play around with a lot of different genres, which I feel like isn't super great for a consistent audience. I have a lot of fun with it. I write in children's and young adult and adult, all of them. And so it's kind of a wide variety.
Tell us about Candy and Curses. So how did the idea start and what are you excited about?
Yeah, the idea started when I was eating some Skittles or something. And I was like, wouldn't it be cool if like each color had a different magical property and like you could like chew it and different things would happen. And I was like, that would be awesome. Anyway, I just kept thinking about magical candy and what cool stuff could magic candy do? And so it just sort of developed from there into like,
Very
I don't
Willy
know, a
Wonka.
girl who, a girl who makes the magical candy. And there's like mystery and she has to solve it using her magical candy. And
Right? You're mixing up a few genres too. Bridge in a few.
yeah, it's true. It's like, yeah, kind of like it's cozy witch mystery and like baking mystery, but not exactly baking because it's candy making instead of traditional baking. So it's like magic sweets shop where she's an apprentice there. It is in this quirky little town at the top of the mountain, where Jazz is a new apprentice in town at this little candy shop, makes magical candy. And her boss goes missing, and she and her little opinionated black cat have to figure out what happened using their candy making abilities. But like I said, she's not actually that good at making the magical candy, and so that leads to some problems. And of course, she meets the handsome delivery guy. It's a no spice romance, and he is a total, I don't know, golden retriever love interest, just like head over heels for her, falls first, and so helps out trying to solve the mystery. And
Izzy mentioned Candy Curses, and I fell in love pretty much immediately. As she started to explain her characters and their silly little quirks, I just started falling more and more in love with it. And I think that kind of is key. I wanted this project because it was in line with things that I enjoy. I enjoy reading it, and that was huge. And so my experience with Candy Curses has been really great because as she has shared her world with me, I have been able to just get excited like a little fan, just being like, "Oh, I want to draw this," and then I have the opportunity to. So, it's been really fantastic working with her on that.
Since I approached her at the beginning of the project, like I was still just like plotting it at that point. I hadn't actually started writing yet. I feel like there was a lot of collaboration and that her drawings made me fall in love with my characters more, being like, oh, they look so cute. Look at them together. I don't know. It just made
Thank
me love them
you.
a lot more to see them.
Yeah. And so how did y'all find one another?
When I was looking for an illustrator for a different project, I had posted on Facebook being like, does anyone do illustration? Would they be interested? And then my aunt was like, oh, I know someone. Let me get you two in touch. And so then we started coordinating.
You know, Jewish matchmakers that are still going strong in New York, they have this saying, open your mouth and the world gets smaller. But you have to open your mouth and you have to say, okay, I need, even if it's just a family members. So
yeah, it's true. Cool. It's true.
Definitely
yeah,
was a
awesome.
fun situation of we would not have ever met each other had it not been through a connection of someone just saying, hi, I kind of know someone who might be willing.
Someone knows someone who knows someone who knows someone.
Seriously.
So how have you met illustrators in the past? Other illustrators, Izzy? This was kind of a little bit more kismic and organic.
Yes. In the past, it's been a much more professional direct route where I've gone on to Fiverr especially and looked through their portfolio and hired them for a specific project, which works and I get an end result. But I feel like I don't know, there isn't as much back and forth and energy. And I feel like the product isn't quite as tailored to my book. Like the artist I hire on Fiverr doesn't ever read my book, whereas like Liz has read the whole book and was like, oh my goodness, I love the characters and is like invested in this and like giving suggestions and things like that. And it's just a huge difference between the two. So I feel like you can see it in the art. You can see the difference.
If you're just looking for artists that follow a current vibe, go and see on social media. If you're wanting something that is wholesome and like a realer relationship, interact with them before your project if possible. There's all different kinds of like sides of that. Like I'm not huge on Instagram all the time. I use different media, different places. One of them is Discord. Like that's a gaming platform that's also used by a lot of artists.
It's not an author platform. I feel like it's like for authors.
Is it too? I don't know.
We've just taken over.
I'm new to having so many author friends. It's great. But I know for sure artists are on there. And so finding places like that, going on DeviantArt, like seeing where the artists spend their time, and then go in and find people who have a style that follows what you're wanting. There's so many out there. Artists want to create. And if their stuff is out there, it's because they want to be seen. And so I think that is really, if you're looking for them, it's not too hard to find them. So yeah.
Okay, awesome. So I completely agree. I have just found that the because this is with all publishing professionals except for cover designers. Cover design, so every type of publishing creative, they seem to have a little bit different stereotypes, But the
Yes.
narrators and the illustrators are friendly. They care and they want to be matched with projects that they care about. They will give more because they know they're going to have more enjoyment if they can just get matched with the right project. So it really
Exactly.
is about partnership. Artists are very generous people and they bring ideas to your project that you would never have had because your project has to go through them. So while your project is going through that artist, they're going to be able to come up with tons of ideas. Oh, you know what we could do? Oh, hey, this might really catch people's eye because you're really joining forces. And I completely agree.
Good news. Yeah.
Details. I need to know, like, okay, at least I can guess if you're coming to me, it's because you're wanting my style, hopefully, you know?
Okay, so just since we're on this subject, you say, okay, we'll take to the Instagrams and search out your unicorn. Try to find someone who can be excited about the project. Okay, but how do you find a specific style on Instagram? How do you sort through all of the content and actually find a specific style? And then how do you know what to look for? I'll go ahead and give some insight. First off, you would start looking at comps. You would really figure out what kind of style of art you're going to be looking at comps. But also, sometimes comps aren't going to give you a direction. And Etsy, because any place with an algorithm
Real.
is going to help too. So I've been able to find tons of artists on Etsy. If you can just find one thing that you like and favorite that thing, then the Etsy algorithm will kind of help you and get the
Fast and it's so dangerous.
Yeah.
So if you can get to Etsy, any place with an algorithm, and then also, I found an illustrator one time by just through Redbubble. So I had a cell phone case, a custom cell phone case, because I
I
love
love
art
it.
anywhere that I can get art. So why not on your cell phone? And so I've got my, tentacles here.
That's so cool.
That's on Redbubble. This is actually a octopus in a bathtub with a little squeaky duck. Is the full, but for my cell phone cover, I just wanted the tentacles. You can find that artist on Redbubble and then easily just reach out to that artist on that platform or any place. Zazzle, where else? Liz, where else? Zazzle, Redbubble, TeePublic.
Even
Okay, that's
YouTube.
enough.
Sometimes if they have a YouTube channel, you could just reach
heck
out
yeah.
to them through that. Like,
Yeah.
if they've got a way to contact them, just contact them on anything.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how you specifically worked together to develop and improve the project, right? Because Izzy, you've said that you think the project actually got better, and your book got better because Liz was involved. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, definitely. So when we started collaborating, like I said, I was just in the plotting stage. I knew the genre and I knew the basics about the characters, and a basic plot. And that was about it. And so as I was giving her details of here's the main character, here's what I know about her, she has a cat, stuff like that, then Liz would come back with sketches and be like, what do you think about having a Swedish influence for their clothing design? And I was like, I love that. And so then I was able to take that a little further into my book and be like, okay, let's have a little more Swedish influence. So it doesn't state in the book that this is Sweden or anything like that, but it's just sort of influenced the vibe of the little village that they're in. And so things like that, where she would suggest something and I'd be like, oh, that's an awesome idea. And then take it to my writing and be like, how can I incorporate this more so that her drawings and my writing mesh more? It was really fun.
I loved that you gave me so much wiggle room to just give ideas. And sometimes she was not, she's like, I don't know about that one. And that was fine. But when she liked something, she made sure to let me know. She was like, I love that. And I was like, oh, I have good ideas. I can keep sharing that. I wasn't feeling shut down or, that might work. And I'd be like, oh, well, I'll stop talking then.
That's good. I'm glad you didn't feel shut down because you have awesome ideas.
Especially with candies and stuff. You had some that you had specific wants for. You wanted them to look a certain way. But then there were some where you're just like, go crazy. This is what it
Mhm.
does. You decide how it looks. And I was like, oh, okay. And that was so fun. That was so fun.
Yeah, and those ones turned out awesome. Like the binding bubble gum, where I was just like, I want like a bubble gum that works as like a kind of like a sticky tack, but like an unbreakable sticky tack. And then it was Liz's idea to have it be on like a little spool, like a roll of tape that you peel off. And I was like, oh, that's perfect. Like that's so cute. So lots of stuff like that. And like she came up with an idea for clown cordials and was like, if you
Just
have a
felt
place to put these in your book, like I want a candy like this in the book. And I was like, sweet, like let's figure out a magical property and stick it in there. Like this is cool. So yeah,
Wow.
it was fun.
Okay, so already we're seeing if you can foster an organic relationship with an artist who actually has some interest and can see the potential in a project, the sky's the limit. I mean, because that is the cutest, that's one of the cutest, like most compelling ideas that the the magical candy is a piece of, is like
thanks.
It's
tape,
like tape. Yeah.
little scotch tape.
Like I wasn't going to come up with that. So yeah, it was awesome.
Thanks.
So, Izzy, what did you actually provide to Liz at the start? So you decided to work together. It's a match made in heaven. What do authors need to kind of be prepared to do to start with an illustrator?
Yeah, I don't know if I remember specifically exactly what I gave her.
I do.
Good. Okay. Well, you can answer that.
We're going to show everyone this piece of art that Izzy
For the cover.
gave. So I'll go ahead and let's share that.
I'm not an artist. A little terrible little drawing that I was like, something kind of like this.
So glad you sent it though.
Okay, so this
Yeah.
a lovely work of art that Izzy provided to Liz. So I think the takeaway here is you can give them almost anything.
In fact, please, 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 please do. This is not just a me artist thing. This is pretty much across the board. If you are commissioning an illustrator, please send them some kind of photo reference. We work in images. We
That
need
makes
to
sense.
see things. Don't tell us, I'll know it when I see it. Something maybe like just send us something. I love this picture that Izzy did. It helped so much.
Good.
I literally had it as a reference photo in the corner the entire time I was working on that cover. So please, no one else has to know.
Well, if you
Izzy
think
obviously
Except
already
now
has
the whole
been.
world does it.
Now the world knows
Just
about
kidding.
Izzy's, but no one else has to know about yours, okay?
well, and if you think that is a work of art, let's really just move up. So Izzy does her lovely little doodle. And then next we have Liz who comes back with just something very rough at this stage.
Very rough, yes.
Okay, so Liz, tell me about this image. What was it used for? This is the next
This
step.
this is for me. So there's some artists who I might not need as many. Red work is what I call it. It's the before you even get to the lines, right? People might not need these red work or sketches as much as I do, but I for sure am a user of these. And oftentimes, like you can see here, I start on paper. It's easy. I kind of feel like a kid with her crayons. I just draw the idea very, very, very roughly. You can see that the lines are all over the place. The hat kind of design stayed. I was thinking of maybe having it being pulled down by hand. It definitely looks messy, but this really was an opportunity to play with a whole bunch of ideas all on top of each other. I was messing with a collar that went out like this, like a big collar for a second, which is what you see, some really fun little sketchy lines. This is just very much my little safe space on the page stage. So
Perfect. Okay, we had a rough sketch. And then what was this?
I would call this the line art stage, which is still sketching, but this is obviously before color and it's just the lines and general depth. Before going into anything further, going into finalizing, so what are your thoughts on what you're seeing right now?
Yeah.
Do we want to go with the person or do we want to go with a different idea you had earlier? This is what it's kind of going to look like.
And this is the first time that Izzy sees the
Yes.
art
Yeah, this
to
one.
approve.
Yep. I said it looks awesome.
Off to the races.
So this was the cover image that she sent in after that sketch that she gave me. And I was like, yeah, it looks good. Then this was the colored version that she sent. And I think it's fantastic. I had like a couple tiny tweaks and then we ended up using it for the cover. I asked if I could get like the witch and the background separate and used the witch on the cover.
I love how the flowers in her hat mirror or echo the lollipop. I love it. I love that the candy
Thank
is
you.
front and center. You immediately get the witchy vibes. And then your Swedish puff sleeves influence.
Yes. And as mentioned, Izzy again, very, very positive. Wow, I love this. It's looking great so far. Like there was just so much of that. And it made it easy for me to continue to feel motivated because I knew she liked what I was coming out with. It wasn't radio silence.
So cool. You know, authors are just dying for someone to care about what they're writing. They spend a year, 3 years, 10 years creating this monstrous world, and they just want someone to care about it. So I bet, Izzy, that this gave you a lot of boost as far as energy, just having someone else and they're excited about it creatively.
Yeah, and like that she was thinking about this world and like, yeah, wanting to do stuff in it and was excited about the magic candy just like I was. So it was great.
It's really good as an illustrator to hear that as well, because I know I can kind of sometimes I think there is a worry that we're bothering the customer too much with our, what about this? And I want to know these details and what, because you don't want to be a pain, you know? But also, like, you want to know as much as you can because the more information you have, the better it can be, you know?
Well, I think that's a really good point because, yeah, like Emily Kate said, like authors obviously are passionate about their project and illustrators passionate about their project. So, yeah, I feel like as an artist, just ask all your questions. Like the author's going to be happy to talk about their book. So that's all they want to do is just talk about their book to someone who will listen. So just ask their
I love that.
questions.
I think it's about, like, for example, the candies. You're like, go wild on certain ones. And I was like, I will go wild. This will be, in
No,
fact,
which
what I
I
do.
loved.
Yes.
Yay, that's awesome. Because I feel like it was nice to have Liz brainstorm some of it for me because I feel like I kind of was getting burnt out with the candies, having to come up with all these different candies. And then she could add some fresh energy and be like, well, what about this? And be like, okay, yeah, that's awesome because all my ideas were getting to be lame. So, yeah.
It was of help. It was fun.
I really want authors to understand how special this process can be. When you work with an artist, they have so much creative energy. They can also infuse so much life into a project because they help the author see what things actually look like, just like
Yes.
as much as they do the reader.
Yeah, it's so true.
Okay, so Liz, you've given us a lot of insight on what authors should know. They should start reaching out early, do it organically so that they can already start developing a relationship. You've also already covered that, hey, make sure you give your illustrators something. I mean, that piece of art that Izzy gave with her little scribbles, she gave you something and it gave you some big directions. What else do you wish other authors knew about before approaching their illustrator or in those early stages?
It really just be excited about what they give you. Even if it's not perfect, like, tell them what you do like about it before you go into the things you don't like. Sometimes I think that can get lost in translation, especially when you're on a computer where people might be like, no, I don't like this, change this, change this. I've seen with a lot of my friends and myself, sometimes that can be really disheartening, where you almost just want to drop the project because all you're getting is negative feedback. And we already give ourselves enough of that. As authors, you get the same, right? Like,
One of the special things about Candy and Curses and its illustrations are that I really appreciate that things are bigger in certain places than they would be is just a little bit wrong, and a little bit wrong like in a delicious way. And I'm thinking of one of these illustrations in particular, just how her dress is so stylized and, how boxy her hair is with that bob. I love that there are things that are not perfect, that some things are actually a little wrong, quote unquote, and it makes them so darling.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I'll say, I think as an author going into it with an illustrator, having more of an open mind, not being so like, this is exactly what I want sort of thing, like check all these exact boxes, make this exact thing that's in my head. If you just let the illustrator have a little more freedom, I feel like they can create better art than trying to squash it into your own little box that you've given them. And so just being more open-minded as you go in and being like, letting them do their thing that they are good at instead of trying to restrict them. So,
And this is a very interesting illustration here. You get this sense that you're peeking out at the two characters because you're kind of looking through a cloud or a little hidey hole. And of course, this is like more of a little intimate moment between the two characters, Killian and Jazz. And I love how it's framed. Can you tell us about that, Liz?
Thank you very much. So this actually was one that she gave me no real direction on. So she basically told me, I want this many illustrations, and we'd come up with the other ones. And then I had just finished reading Candy and Curses, and this image was just in my head, like fading away. And I was like, oh my gosh, this would be so cute. And so I made it. And that was because I just really, I don't know, that one I love a lot because that one was so much just my own personal little fan art for things like All Things Considered. I just was so pleased with the end of my little adventure through her story that I just wanted to do a little shout out at the end for one of my favorite scenes that it finished off on in just such a cute way. And so as far as the framing and stuff goes, I just thought it would be fun with the colors being what they are, the really dark colors of smoke coming from the pot surrounding the very happy, vibrant colors you've seen throughout the whole story. I don't know, it just kind of had its own little flavor to it.
Yeah. You can feel the energy between the two characters as well. So I think, Liz, that you understand this about your art, that you're very good at people and expressing and showing their energy through character art.
I do really love people, and that's just one of the reasons too that probably this works so well is because I just love to talk to people, and I fell in love with her characters so much.
And we can take that and look at through that lens of this main illustration here. It has more energy. The primary image of Jazz with her lollipop is just so striking. And then this background looks almost like it's glowing and very soft. It's got a style all its own.
Awesome. So I think part of it, like, okay, there's something called like an overlay, which changes the color on top of something. And she is more in the oranger tones, while the stuff behind her is more purple. I put a screen over it basically. And part of it too, I think, is just the eclecticness of it. What I actually did for this one, I filled the space with a lot of things, went very eclectic, and then after I finished that part, I just went very fun on the lighting. That's something I just really enjoy to do as an artist. I love to add light. And so, like you said, it's like they're glowing in the back. There are parts of it that you can see there's more of a glow than others. It's kind of messy, but that's kind of how I sometimes do my lighting. But yeah, it was just a whole lot of just layers upon layers upon layers upon layers, which is really the whole coloring process. It's this bunch of layers all on top of each other, going on forever. If she didn't give me exact rules on something, then I played with it.
and ended up not working to have that background on the cover specifically. But I love the background so much that I stuck it in a different picture that we have in here. So anyway, it was
Which was
just
so cute. Thanks for doing that. The one with them looking like kind of cutouts was all separate pieces
Yeah.
that she then collaged together to make a new one.
Yeah, they were all just like, I think those were her initial like character images that she sent me that I was like, oh my goodness, I love them. And so I wanted them to be in the book, but I know it seems weird to have them just like backgroundless. But I had this background from her that I loved and nothing to do with. So I was like, let's just stick those together and we can make it a picture in the book. So anyway,
So cute.
it's just fun. You go back and
Okay,
forth.
the important step.
So we would love for you to follow our Kickstarter for Candy and Curses at the link below. If you go there and just click the little heart icon that says notify me on launch, then you will know as soon as it goes live. We also have been posting a few pre-launch updates that have some fun things like a song that goes along with the book and just other things like that. And so you can get some goodies that way and know when it goes live so that you can get a copy with Liz's beautiful illustrations in it.
Great. And Liz, if authors are looking for an illustrator whose style has lots of whimsy, very cutesy, and very character focused, where can they find you, Liz?
You can find me at my website. The link will be below. And yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for Candy and Curses. I am looking forward to it so much. It's one of those, as soon as I saw it, I was like, yes, something to be excited about, something to back. And
Right.
I hope people go check it out. I hope they back. I hope they look at your other books that are available as well. And Marjinx, best of luck, best of wishes to you. And I know I personally am excited about getting you involved in some of my projects because you're just so talented and all your illustrations are just so full of life.
She's awesome.
All right, hopefully that was helpful. Even if you're not in the cozy genre, the fantasy genre, the mystery genre, there were tons of takeaways for any novel writer as you approach your Kickstarter and as you approach your launch as a whole. And I know I learned a lot from speaking with Liz and Izi. Check out their Kickstarter. If the Kickstarter has closed, go ahead and check out their books on Amazon. All the links are below. And I think the key takeaways were that an illustrator can infuse life into a project, especially if you get them involved early. I think you saw how the setting, the clothing, the world building can get much deeper if the illustrator works with the author and just asks those basic questions of what do things look like. And let me know if you disagreed with me. Am I wrong about Kickstarter art? Well, a lot of Kickstarter art. Not all Kickstarter art is a plague that has no style, but some of it is, right? I'll catch you in the next episode.